External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj earlier in the Rajya Sabha has informed the House that 39 Indians that the government was tracking ever since they were abducted way back by ISIS in the year 2014 were taken hostage are now confirmed dead. Bodies of the Indian hostages were exhumed after DNA tests confirmed their identity.
सबसे पहला मैच किया संदीप नाम के लड़के का। जैसे उन्होंने खबर दी कि संदीप का डीएनए, तो हमें ये पता चल गया क्योंकि बॉडीज भी पूरी 39 थी, ये भी एक चिन्ह था, उसमें से बॉडीज भी पूरी 39 निकली थी। उसके बाद एक डीएनए होता चला गया। राजदूत खबर देते रहे, आज 5 हो गए हैं, आज 8 हो गए हैं, आज 10 हो गए हैं, लेकिन कल उन्होंने हमें खबर दी कि 38 लोगों का डीएनए मैच हो गया है और 39वें का डीएनए 70% मैच हुआ है, क्योंकि उसके माता पिता कोई नहीं है।
Okay, that being a confirmation, of course, that has come in for many on a note of shock here as well, because all along, as had been confirmed, that there was largely believed to be alive. But of course, External Affairs Minister finally making a confirmation of that statement only when DNAs were matched and confirmed the identity of those hostages, wherein which unfortunately it had to be informed all 39 who were taken in hostage by ISIS in the year 2014, all of them now confirmed dead, and this is a confirmation that has come in from the External Affairs Minister informing the Rajya Sabha in doing so. Our correspondent Viren getting us further inputs here in the statement here that has come in. Viren, of course, the opposition wanting to raise a ruckus here on this as well, because earlier it was believed that all 39 of them are safe and alive. This coming in as a confirmation, of course, after much cross-checking and confirmation of the DNA samples taken in from the bodies there.
Sahar, important to point out here that the ruckus wasn't over this. The ruckus was, in fact, the MPs were protesting anyway. We had, as we've seen over the last few days, in fact, MPs of the AIADMK, the TDP, the YSRCP, and as well as the TRS who were in the well of the House. And we saw the same sort of scenes today while Sushma Swaraj was, in fact, addressing the Lok Sabha. Now, meanwhile, in the Rajya Sabha, Sushma Swaraj spoke about the fact that, 39 of these Indian hostages have now been confirmed dead after DNA samples were collected from their families. They were matched with the bodies of these Indians. Remember, they were taken hostage back in 2014 by members of the Islamic State terrorist group in the city of Mosul, which used to be one of the strongholds of ISIS in Iraq. And there was a sustained conversation between the Indian government as well as the Iraqi government and as well as Kurdish forces. Remember, Kurdish forces have an autonomous region within Iraq and they were fighting ISIS as well. So intelligence was being sought from all sort of quarters to try and figure out where these Indians were. After which, of course, now in 2018, as we've understood, that in fact they were found in a mass grave. After which their bodies were exhumed and the DNA tests unfortunately confirming what many people had feared, that they had indeed been killed by the Islamic State in the violence that we've seen in Iraq over the last few years.
Right. Viren, what next? What is the External Affairs Ministry now informing us as far as their families are concerned? When can they receive their mortal remains now?
Well, sir, from what we understand, the Junior Minister of External Affairs, VK Singh, would in fact travel to Baghdad, expected to travel tomorrow. In fact, the mortal remains of these victims will now also be flown to Baghdad, after which General VK Singh will accompany the mortal remains and fly them back to India. The families, of course, have been waiting for some news of their loved ones, of their family members, because they hadn't heard from the Indian government, other than the fact that, the government was doing all in its power to, in fact, try and, get them back home safe. But there was no way of sort of contacting these people for quite some time. In fact, even initially, once they were taken hostage, there was no contact, as we understand, either with ISIS or with any of the victims in this case. And that, unfortunately, has been the tale. The government has been telling the families that, that they believe that these Indians were safe. But unfortunately, it seems that now, after the mass graves were found, their identity has been confirmed.
That's right.
And in fact,
the External Affairs Minister had also in July 2017 said that will not declare them dead till further confirmation. That confirmation, of course, came in when DNA samples were taken from the families, and then the news here was confirmed. Viren, thanks for those inputs here. Listen into a reaction here that's now coming from the Punjab Chief Minister, Captain Amrinder Singh there, reacting since most of the victims there belonged to the state of Punjab.
We had expected this. पहला जो indications आ रही थी यही आ रही थी ना. So it should have been announced earlier. But it's very sad. But I think when they disappeared, and you know, one boy escaped from there. उन्हें आके दसिया सी के सारे मारते. Late is never late. But the fact is that this was known much earlier. This matter, I have not seen it. This matter is in the High Court. Let the High Court come up with an answer.